Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rakshamam, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahimam, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rakshamam, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahimam, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. So this is a wonderful prayer to meditate upon, especially during these difficult times when humanity has been put into a fearsome, worrisome condition, having their basic human rights torn away from them due to the demoniac influence in the world. So, Vipadashantuya Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagadguru, Queen Kunti Devi, praise, my dear Lord, may we be put into these difficult conditions, because the more we're put into difficulty, then the more we take shelter of you. So Queen Kunti was actually praying for these difficulties so that she may become more devoted to Lord Krishna. And Lord Rama, he took on the entire army of Ravana, all of his Rakshasas, to protect his devotees, Sita. And let's see if anybody's arrived for tonight's reading. Well, it's Wednesday. Let's see what we have on hand here. Tonight, we are reading how Krishna pleases his devotees. Chapter 48. of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I hope someone will come soon so that we can all read together. In the meantime, maybe we can read from the Gopal Champu to get another perspective on this chapter. Thank you for bearing with us. Some of the devotees are kind of ill at this time. So that's Gopal Champu. Okay, here's the Sarartha Darshini. I'll start reading from this until everyone starts arriving. Chapter 48, Krishna pleases his devotees. Text 1, Shukadev Goswami said, next, after assimilating Uddhava's report, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the omniscient soul of all that be, desired to satisfy the serving girl, Trivakra, who was troubled by lust. Thus, he went to her house. And Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur explains that in this chapter, Krishna will reciprocate with Kubja, who's also known as Trivakra. And he visits Akrura and sends him to Hastinapur after hearing his praises. So understanding in detail what was spoken by Uddhava, Krishna had actually already reconciled everything in that regard. Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, indicates that Krishna, by his inconceivable powers and opulences, had already gone to Vraj in a separate manifestation, even while continuing to live in Mathura. It's implied that Krishna did this to satisfy everyone's desires, since he's the supreme soul of all. That's what the word Sarvatma means. To reconcile the situation for Uddhava, Krishna appeared as omniscient, Sarvadarshan, explaining to him the confidential mystery of his dual manifestations while appearing to Uddhava in his manifestation of separation. Then, in order to keep the promise he had previously made, Krishna went with Uddhava to the house of Kubja. So that's what that word Sairanriya means, serving girl. So Trivakra, or Kubja's home, was opulently appointed with expensive furnishings and replete with sensual accoutrements, meant to inspire sexual desire. There were banners, rows of strung pearls, canopies, fine beds, and sitting places, and also fragrant incense, oil lamps, flower garlands, and aromatic sandalwood paste. So Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur comments that Kubja's house was filled with abundant paraphernalia appropriate for sensual enjoyment, herbal aphrodisiacs to excite lust. It sounds like somebody has arrived. Oh, and your Hari and Bhavatrini are here. Hare Krishna. My dear God brother and God sister, are you actually here?
Hare Krishna, we're here. We're taking prasadam, so we have the.
Well, why don't I read? Why don't I read to you until you tell me that you're ready to join? Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
I'm reading from the Sarartha Darshini commentary on this chapter until everyone arrives, so we can read the Krishna together. Is that all right with you?
I love it.
You were saying something about the house was all arranged for something.
It was Kucha's.
Oh.
Right. And it's interesting. It's only recently that I learned that Kubja is also known as Trivakra, which I think means tree. She's like bent in three places. Trivakra. Trivakra. Yeah.
Wow.
And so yeah, when Krishna came over to her house, it was all decked out, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, all abundant paraphernalia appropriate for sexual enjoyment, including explicit sexual pictures were there.
Wow.
And herbal aphrodisiacs to excite lust, kama upaya in Krishna. But she didn't know who she was dealing with. Krishna's
She didn't know, she just loved him.
That's right. She didn't care.
No, yeah, well, it was love, but it was almost lust. That's what Prabhupada said.
I think lust is love.
So when Trivakra saw him arrive, Hari Prabhu, how is your ribs? How are you doing? Are you recovering?
A little bit better.
Yeah.
Hurting. I'm wearing a sash to hold things together, but it's been it's still a little painful. But
I guess.
Better.
I'm just wondering what a natural healer would do. Like I know that comfrey root is very, very rich in minerals. I applied comfrey oil to my broken toe a few years back to help heal it. I'm just wondering if a poultice, I don't know if comfrey grows in Hawaii. I know it grows here.
Yeah, it does grow here. We used to have it around the garden, but not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be hard to find now.
Maybe the cows like it too. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure that they probably would.
So, okay, I'm glad to hear you're on the mend. Nanda Patni is still on the mend. Jivan Mukta.
Yeah. What happened to her?
She had surgery.
Oh.
Jivan Mukta has not eaten for a week.
Yeah. What's happened?
He won't give me any details. He said he'll contact me once. Last time I talked to him, he was in the emergency.
Oh.
So I don't know what's going on.
Jivan Mukta was an emergency?
He says he's been sick as a dog. That's what he was. Yeah.
Wow.
And instead of going to the hospital, as Tridandi Swami said he would go, he said he just loves Godrum Dweep, Swananda Kunj more than ever before. So he went back there, and I wrote him a letter saying, "Are you sure that's a good idea? Are you sure you shouldn't be going to Bangalore for Ayurvedic treatment?" Because he has a heart condition. He's had it for quite some years.
Oh yeah, I know that.
He used to treat him.
We've been talking now. Yesterday,
Oh, good.
He communicated with me a little bit. I mentioned to him Nanda Shiv Kumar. Maybe he can help me.
Yeah.
He can put,
Yeah.
I was gonna try to call him, but I've been so out of it. Do a consultation with him, but
Yeah. Good idea.
He thinks that this was as a result of a fall.
Falling off his bike, he told me, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just go back to the book if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really like to hear it.
Yeah, so Sarartha Darshini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It's the first time I'm reading this myself, so I'm excited to share it with you.
I've never read it.
When actually Mahabodhi just started doing classes on Sarartha Darshini himself, starting from the beginning. So we're both together. Okay, so when Trivakra saw Krishna arriving at her house, she at once rose from her seat in a flurry, coming forward graciously with her girlfriends. She respectfully greeted Lord Achyuta by offering him an excellent seat and other articles of worship. Then it goes on to say that Uddhava also received the seat of honor. So he was with Krishna, since he was a saintly person, but he simply touched it and sat on the floor. In other words, he didn't want to like sit on the same level as Krishna, right? Then Lord Krishna, imitating the manners of human society, quickly made himself comfortable on an opulent bed. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says he sat on the ground, implies that Uddhava felt that it was improper for him as Krishna's servant to sit on a seat offered by the hand of his beloved. Therefore, Uddhava touched the asana with his hand to honor Kubja's offer and then sat on the floor. The word shayanam, bed, means that Krishna made himself comfortable on a bed located in the inner chambers of Trivakra's home. Trivakra prepared herself by bathing, anointing her body, and dressing in fine garments, by putting on jewelry, garlands, and perfume, and also by chewing betel nut, drinking fragrant liquor, and so on. She then approached Lord Madhava with shy, playful smiles and coquettish glances. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says Kubja prepared her body for enjoyment by applying aguru perfume, ganda, and other items. Calling forward his beloved, who was anxious and shy at the prospect of this new contact, the Lord pulled her by her bangled hands onto the bed. Thus he enjoyed with that beautiful girl, whose only trace of piety was her having offered ointment to the Lord. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the two words Nava Sangama Hriya, shy with a new contact, and Vishan Kitam, fearful, indicates that Trivakra was in fact a virgin girl at this point. Though Kubja was beautiful, she was protected because of her hunchback. Kubja had accumulated a trace of piety because she had offered unguents to Krishna. Unguents, I guess, means like perfumes and cosmetics. Unguents, unguents. But she did not have heaps of pious credits like the Sadhana Siddha gopis in Vraj and the women of Mathura. Simply by smelling the fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet, Trivakra cleansed away the burning lust Cupid had aroused in her breasts, chest, and eyes. With her two arms, she embraced between her breasts her lover, Sri Krishna, the personification of bliss, and thus she gave up her long-standing distress. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that she touched and, Kubja removed the burning pain of her breast, chest, and eyes by touching and smelling Krishna's lotus feet. Having thus gotten the hard to get, Krishna is described here as hard to get. Having thus gotten the hard to get Supreme Lord by the simple act of offering him body ointment, unfortunate Trivakra submitted to that Lord of freedom the following request. And in the purport, it says that Srimati Trivakra prayed to Krishna, her exclusive Lord, Kaivalyanatham, please enjoy only with me and not with any other woman. Because Krishna was not prepared to grant such a benediction, Trivakra is described here as unfortunate, Durabhaga. Trivakra said, oh beloved, please stay here with me for a few days more and enjoy. I cannot bear to give up your association, O lotus-eyed one. Trivakra said, please stay for some days in my inner chambers and do not go out. All arrangements have been made in this house for drinking and eating. These are two readings, Saha Ushyatam, stay with me. There's a lot of songs written about that, right? Stay with me. And Aho Ushyatam, oh please stay. Text 10, promising her the fulfillment of this lusty desire, considerate Krishna, Lord of all beings, paid Trivakra his respects and then returned with Uddhava to his own supremely opulent residence. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the words Kama Varam Dattva indicate that Krishna promised Trivakra he would fulfill her lusty desires, even though she was a common woman. Honoring her, Manada, means that before leaving, Krishna took the opportunity to show her respect and told Kubja, continuing to indulge in enjoying unrestrictedly will not be desirable for us because it will simply create evil gossip. Krishna came and left with Uddhava in order to prevent such gossip, since Uddhava was famous everywhere as the crest jewel of proper behavior. From previous explanations, it should be understood that Kubja is an expansion of Krishna's Bhu Shakti. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Lord of all lords, is ordinarily difficult to approach. One who has properly worshipped him and then chooses the benediction of mundane sense gratification is certainly of poor intelligence, for he is satisfied with an insignificant result. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, in relation to this incident, Shukadev Goswami instructs those persons who are worshipping Krishna in the mood of being a lover. The person who worships Krishna for material happiness is a fool. However, if one worships Krishna with the intent to fully please Krishna's senses, and by so doing, if one also gets happiness in the process, there is no fault. In such a situation, it should be understood that one has cut off all material attachment by desiring only pure devotional service. Then, Lord Krishna, wanting to have some things done, went to Akrura's house with Balaram and Uddhava. The Lord also desired to please Akrura. And Jai, Shuddha Sindhu, Devi Dasi is here once again, all the way from Malaysia.
Hare Krishna.
Shuddha Sindhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
So I'm just reading from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on the 10th canto, translated by our godbrother Banu Swami, who's originally his family's from Japan, but he resides in Madras in South India. And so while I was waiting for everybody to arrive, what I'm doing is I'm chanting the Krishna book song ahead of time. I'm chanting it before 7:30 so that at 7:30 sharp, I can start reading. But what I noticed today at 7:30 is that nobody was here. Hare Krishna Rasangi, obeisances to you, glories to Prabhupada. Yeah, so I'm just starting at least 5 minutes before to sing the Krishna book song or the Six Goswami song. So the reading can actually be at my time, 7:30. So we can maximize the reading instead of starting the reading 10, 15 minutes late. Just to let you know, that's what I'm doing. So Rasangi Prabhu, I'm reading from the Sarartha Darshini right now. As I was preparing for everybody to arrive for Krishna book, Nirhari and Baba Trini arrived. They're just honoring prasadam right now. And so I've been reading the Sarartha Darshini to them.
I'm going to walk. I'm going to listen.
Yeah,
I'm happy to listen.
I wish I was there walking too in this nice weather. It's blowing snow outside right now here. Yeah.
It's nice here, a little foggy, but nice, not raining.
You're fortunate.
Okay, I'll be listening, and then I'll join in after my walk.
Okay, super. And I'm just waiting for Nurhari and Baba Trini to come. Anyway, I'm just going through this commentary right now, Shuddha Sindhu, if you don't mind. I'm just reading through. I mean, unless you want to take turns reading, certainly you can, if you wish. It's up to you. Okay. So I've never read this commentary before by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the 10th canto. So it's very nice to hear from another Acharya on the Krishna book or the 10th canto. So after Uddhava and Krishna finish visiting Kubja, so now they're going to visit Akrura, and here it says Nrihari and Bavatrini, you just give me a heads up when you're done, okay? And then I'll include you and Shuddha Sindhu in the reading. So, okay, Krishna and Balaram go to Akrura's house to engage him in service, since the order of the master is pleasing to the servant. So Akrura stood up in great joy when he saw them, his own relatives, and the greatest of exalted personalities coming from a distance. After embracing them and greeting them, Akrura bowed down to Krishna and Balaram and was greeted by them in return. Then, when his guests had taken their seats, he worshipped them in accordance with scriptural rules. O king, Akrura bathed the feet of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, and then poured the bath water on his head. He presented them with gifts of fine clothing, aromatic sandalwood paste, flower garlands, and excellent jewelry. After thus worshipping the two lords, he bowed his head to the floor. He then began to massage Lord Krishna's feet, placing them on his lap, and with his head bowed in humility, Akrura addressed Krishna and Balaram as follows. So sometimes we hear stories about that in the temples where after Srila Prabhupada's foot bath, feet were bathed, some devotees would drink the entire foot bath, or they would sprinkle it and pour it on the other devotees sometimes too. Then with both hands, Akrura massaged the feet of Krishna and Uddhava. Akrura said, "It is our good fortune that you two lords have killed the evil Kamsa and his followers, thus delivering your dynasty from endless suffering and causing it to flourish. You both are the original supreme person, the cause of the universe and its very substance. Not the slightest subtle cause or manifest product of creation exists apart from you." So in this glorification of Akrura, of Krishna and Uddhava, so much philosophy is being given. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, he's quoting Akrura, who's saying, why say this dynasty of yours when you are the cause of the whole universe? Because the one Lord is appearing in two forms. He is addressed in the dual form. Akrura said, thus you alone are the Pradhana, and you alone are the Purusha. You alone are the cause, Jagat Detu, and the effect, Jagan Mayo. By negation, Akrura expresses the same idea. Without you, there is no cause and no effect. And then Vishwanath, or rather Akrura goes on, why don't you, I need to close my window. It's getting very cold in here. Would you like to continue, Shuddha Sindhu, please? O Supreme Absolute.
Okay. O Supreme Absolute Truth, with your personal energies, you create this universe and then enter into it. Thus, one can perceive you in many different forms by hearing from authorities and by direct experience. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura Akrura said, the one Supreme Lord, through the form of the universe, becomes many. That is expressed in this verse. Having produced Atma Sritam Swasa Krayam, this universe, you enter it and reside there. Anvavisha Pravisha Satitaha. You are perceived through various forms, such as the demigods, Gandharvas, humans, and cows, by direct perception and by hearing from scripture. Just as the primary elements, earth and so on, manifest themselves in abundant variety among all the species of mobile and immobile life, so you, the one independent supreme soul, appear to be manifold among the variegated objects of your creation. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, this verse uses an analogy to explain how manifold varieties expand from the Lord. Akrura said, just as material bodies are manifest with various forms from the causal material elements like earth and water, so you, the one independent Atma Tantra, Lord, become many as the multitude of visible objects in this universe. You create, destroy, and also maintain this universe with your personal energies, the moods of passion, ignorance, and goodness. Yet you are never entangled by these moods or the activities they generate. Since you are the original source of all knowledge, what could ever cause you to be bound by illusion? Akura said, therefore, you are the supreme lord of the universe. You are not bound up like the living entities by karma and the three modes of nature. Krishna replies, how is it that I am not bound up? Akura answered, as you are the embodiment of knowledge, jnana atmanaha. What is the question of being bound up by ignorance? Tekavacha bandha hetuha. Ignorance exists for the living entities, but not for you. Do I read some more? Or?
Okay, since it has never been demonstrated that you are covered by material bodily designations, it must be concluded that for you, there is neither birth in a literal sense, nor any duality. Therefore, you never undergo bondage or liberation. And if you appear to, it is only because of your desire that we see you in that way, or simply because of our lack of discrimination. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Krishna said, if there is no ignorance in me, then where does this body of mine, a product of ignorance, come from? Akura said, your body is not designated as coming from ignorance by those who know the scriptures. Therefore, you have no birth, bhavana, or material existence like the living entities. If your body appears to be material, it is only an appearance of birth like the living entities, since you are actually independent. As you do not have a material body born of ignorance, you do not take birth from a father's semen like an ordinary living entity. Rather, your birth is just your divine appearance of your bhav. For you, there is no difference between body and soul. Your body is you, as is proved by the statement, Deha Dehi Vibhago Yam Neshvare Vidyate Kvachit. There is no distinction between the body and the soul of the Supreme Personality of Godhead at any time. That's a quote from the Lagu Bhagavatamrita 1.5.342 from the Kurma Purana. Since you are Brahman, transcendental to knowledge and ignorance, there is no bondage or liberation for you. Krishna says, but my bondage and liberation do occur as when I am bound to a mortar by my mother, or I am delivered from Kaliya's lake. Akrura, these do not indeed occur. These do indeed occur, but only because you do not prohibit them from occurring. Why do you accept bondage and liberation? You do so out of your free will, nikama, because of their appropriateness for meditation by us. Your devotees, since you enact this bondage and liberation in full knowledge, viveka, they are not at all caused by illusion. For him who is knowledge itself, there is no bondage to or liberation from this world, which is produced by ignorance. Why don't we take turns reading verses Shuddha Sindhu until others can join?
You originally enunciated the ancient religious path of the Vedas for the benefit of the whole universe. Whenever the path becomes obstructed by wicked persons following the path of atheism, you assume one of your incarnation, which are all in the transcendental mood of goodness. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur said, Akura said, though your personality and pastime transcend the material moods, whenever the ancient Purana, part of Dharma, Veda Pataha, enunciated by you, Tvaya Udita, is disturbed by the demons. You appear in the universe to increase Sattva Guna in order to maintain the righteous by protecting the path of religion.
Akrura, why don't we just take one verse each? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
You are that very same Supreme Person, my Lord, and you have now appeared in the home of Vasudeva with your plenary portion. You have done this to relieve the earth's burden by killing hundreds of armies led by kings who are expansions of the demigods' enemies, and also to spread the fame of our dynasty. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, you have appeared along with your expansion, Balaram, Swamsena, in the house of Vasudev to relieve the burden of the earth by killing the hundreds of demoniac kings who are expansions of the enemies of the demigods.
Today, O Lord, my home has become most fortunate because you have entered it. As the supreme truth, you embody the forefathers, ordinary creatures, human beings, and demigods, and the water that has washed your feet purifies the three worlds. Indeed, O transcendent one, you are the spiritual master of the universe. Akura said, now that you, the Supreme Lord and embodiment of all the demigods, have entered our home, it has become blessed.
What learned person would approach anyone but you for shelter when you are the affectionate, grateful, and truthful well-wisher of your devotees? To those who worship you in sincere friendship, you reward everything they desire, even your own self, yet you never increase or diminish. Purport. Akura said, what learned person would surrender to anyone other than you, who are true to your word, Rita Gira, having kept your promise to come to my house after killing Kams? You are the well-wisher, Surida, of your devotees and act accordingly. You are Kritagya, very grateful for whatever little worship a devotee offers. And even if the devotee forgets, you do not. As the friend of he whose mind is spotless and free from material desires, and he who worships you in friendship, you give whatever he desires. Even if they do not desire something, you also give that, though you give so much. You are not finished, for you give even yourself. Krishna may object, but if I give even myself, will I not be left with nothing? Akura answers, no, for you, there is never increase or decrease. Even though all the objects in millions of universes are brought to you as offerings by millions of Brahmas and other demigods, still you do not increase. I'm not getting this. Even though all the objects in millions of universes are brought to you as offerings by millions of Brahmas and other demigods, still you do not increase. Okay. And though you give everything to your devotees, including even yourself, you do not decrease. This is because you possess inconceivable, unlimited energy.
It is by our great fortune, Janardana, that you are now visible to us. For even the masters of yoga and the foremost demigods can achieve this goal only with great difficulty. Please quickly cut the ropes of our illusory attachment for children, wife, wealth, influential friends, home, and body. All such attachment is simply the effect of your illusory material energy. Akura said, by our good fortune, we can directly perceive you.
Shukadev Goswami, excuse me?
No.
Shukadev Goswami continued, thus worshipped and fully glorified by his devotee, the Supreme Lord Hari, smilingly addressed Akrura, completely charming him with his words. Krishna somewhat bewildered Akrura by increasing his awareness of his opulences.
The Supreme Lord said, you are our spiritual master, paternal uncle, and praiseworthy friend, and we are like your sons, always dependent on your protection, sustenance, and compassion. Krishna said, we are like your sons, Prajaha.
Exalted souls like you are the true objects of service and the most worshipable authorities for those who desire the highest good in life. Demigods are generally concerned with their own interests, but saintly devotees never are. Krishna said, O Akrura, even from the ordinary point of view, back in verse 29, you deserve our honor. But from the transcendental perspective, you are most worshipable because you are a first-class Vaishnava. This is stated in this verse. Krishna said, among those worthy of worship, you are most worshipable. Akrura replied, but isn't it a well-established fact that men should worship the demigods? Krishna, the demigods are basically self-interested, but the devotees are not. They are primarily interested in benefiting others.
No one can deny that there are holy places with sacred rivers, or that the demigods appear in deity forms made of earth and stone. But this purifies the soul only after a long time, whereas saintly persons purify just by being seen. Akrura said, "Are not the holy waters worthy of worship?" Shaking his head, Krishna said, "No, though certainly the holy waters and the demigods purify, but that is very different from the purification through the devotees. The holy waters give purification by prolonged service, but the devotees give purification just by seeing them."
You are indeed the best of our friends, so please go to Hastinapur, and as the well-wisher of the Pandavas, find out how they are doing. Well, Krishna said, because you are our well-wisher, being our uncle, and because you act for others' welfare, being a devotee, you should do this. Go to Hastinapur for your benefit. It may also be taken as Gachasva, O relative, please go for their benefit.
We have heard that when their father passed away, the young Pandavas were brought with their anguished mother to the capital city by King Dhritarashtra, and that they are now living there. Krishna said, "I have heard that they are living with King Dhritarashtra."
Indeed, a weak-minded Dhritarashtra, the son of Ambika, has come under the control of his wicked sons, and therefore that blind king is not treating his brother's sons fairly.
Go and see whether Dhritarashtra is acting properly or not. When we find out, we will make the necessary arrangements to help our dear friends.
Shukadev Goswami continued, thus fully instructing Akrura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari then returned to his residence accompanied by Lord Shankarshan and Uddhava. So that ends that chapter in terms of Sarartha Darshini commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So interesting, the plot thickens. Akrura is being told to go to Hastinapur. Are you free now, Nirhari and Bhavatrini? I think you got your mute on.
I could probably read. I have to put things away. There's so many bugs in
Well,
Hawaii.
that's okay. I just have a question for either you two or for Rasangi. When Akrura is being referred to as uncle, I'm trying to understand. Uncle means that Krishna's mother or father, I'm assuming that means Devaki or Vasudev.
It can mean cousin, just like a lot of times they say that. Well, they say that the Pandavas and the Kurus are brothers, so that would make your cousin's parents. I mean, your cousins that aren't your parents' brother and sister. They would be uncles and aunts.
Well, you're saying that actually Akrura was not their uncle, even though they're calling him uncle? This is what I'm trying to understand.
I'm saying we were going to look into who he was, how he was an uncle, but sometimes they're very broad with the brother and sister.
Right.
It can be like your like your, it could be cousins. I can't think right now.
I understand that, but you don't actually know. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm saying I don't know.
Okay, so it says here Akrura was a chief of King Kamsa, descendant in the Vrishni clan, and he was sometimes known as Babru. And I'm just trying to see here. What was he in relationship? Akrura married Sutanu, the daughter of Ahuka. Akrura was given the Shamantaka jewel. He was present for the Swayamvara of Draupadi. He rose to fame as a commander of the Yadava dynasty. This is all coming from Mahabharata. Akrura accompanied Krishna to the marriage of Subhadra. Akrura fought against Jarasandha. I think that's coming up in the coming chapters. Akrura was sent by Kamsa to bring Balaram and Krishna to, as we were reading, the worship of the bull. I think it was called Chapa Puja. Yeah, the answer I'm looking for, I'm still not getting it. Krishna, Balaram, and Uddhava sent Akrura to Hastinapur to gather news about Kunti and the Pandavas. Akrura met Vasudev's sister, Kunti, and the king of Hastinapur. Yeah, so still not very clear to me. What is the relationship? They're calling him uncle. So is that just an affectionate term, or is there actually some familial relation there? And I don't think you know the answer either, do you, Shuddha Sindhu?
No, I don't know actually.
Because Krishna's uncle is also King Kamsa, the son of Ugrasen. So yeah, no one seems to know. We haven't heard from Rasangi either. So I'll just go back to, I'll go to the slideshow now. I don't know if, I guess you're probably the only one that's going to be able to see it, Shuddha Sindhu, because everyone else, Rasangi's walking, Nirhari and Bhavatrini are busy. So I did the slideshow just for you. Can you, okay, I haven't shared the screen yet, have I? All right. Can you see this, Shuddha Sindhu?
We're going to go upstairs and try to watch it and hope
Okay.
the bugs don't take over while
Oh,
we're
what kind of bugs are taking over?
Ants, cockroaches,
Oh, wow.
rooster bugs,
Lots of variety.
moths, flies, gnats. Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't come with me. Marie didn't come with me. We didn't want to abandon our dishes to the bugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shuddha Sindhu, would you like to start?
Okay. In this chapter, Lord Sri Krishna first visits Trivakra, also known as Kubja, and enjoys with her, and then he visits Akrura. The Lord sends Akrura to Hastinapura to satisfy the Pandavas. After Uddhava had related to Sri Krishna the news of Raja, the Lord went to the home of Trivikra, which was decorated with diverse ornamentation, conducive to sexual enjoyment. Trivikra welcomed Krishna with great respect, giving him a raised seat, and together with her female companions, worshipping him. She also offered Uddhava a seat, as befitted his position, but Uddhava simply touched the seat and sat on the floor. Lord Krishna then reclined on an opulent bed as the maidservant Trivikra elaborately washed and decorated herself. Then she approached him. Krishna invited Trivikra to the bed and began to enjoy with her in various ways. By embracing Lord Krishna, Trivikra freed herself of the torment of lust. She asked Krishna to remain with her for some time, and The considerate Lord promised to fulfill her request in due course. He then returned with Uddhava to his residence. Apart from offering sandal paste to Krishna, Trivikra had never performed any pious acts. Yet simply on the strength of the piety of this single act, she attained the rare personal association of Sri Krishna. So Sri Krishna next went to Akrura's house with Lord Baladev and Uddhava. Akrura honored the three of them by bowing down and presenting them with suitable sitting places. Then he worshipped Rama and Krishna, washed their feet and water on his head.
All the noise.
Yeah.
Who's all that noise?
It's me.
Sounds like you're locked in an echo chamber.
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
What's going on? Okay, could you continue?
Okay. Sri Krishna next went to Akrura's house with Lord Baladev and Uddhava. Akrura honored the three of them by bowing down and presenting them with suitable sitting places. Then he worshipped Rama and Krishna, washed their feet and poured the water on his head. Akrura offered them many prayers. Lord Krishna was pleased with Akrura's prayers. He told him that since he, Akrura, was in fact their paternal uncle, Krishna and Balaram should be the recipients of his protection and mercy. Lord Krishna then praised Akrura as a saint and purifier of the sinful, and he asked him to visit Hastinapura to find out how the Pandavas, deprived of their father, were faring. Finally, the Lord returned home, taking Balaram and Uddhava with him.
So that was an overview of the chapter that I put there, taken directly from the Bhagavad-Gita. And we just got the answer to my question, where Krishna tells Akrura that he was their paternal uncle. So that means to be paternal uncle means there's a relationship between Akrura and Vasudev, right? Nrihari or Bhavatrini or Rasangi. If
Right.
Akrura is the paternal uncle of Krishna Balaram, means
Yeah, it's got to be through Vasudev.
Right, right. Okay. Thank you. So who's available for reading now? Anybody except me and Shuddha Sindhu? Are we the only ones?
Oh,
I can read. Hold on. Let me get my glasses here.
Here's a beautiful painting I found of Krishna and Uddhava
wow.
from the 1930s. Isn't it nice?
Gorgeous.
Wow.
I put a background to it, which I thought would, enhance stuff. Not enhance, but complement.
Yeah.
Beautiful art. Yeah, I'm not expert with art colors. I'm learning.
Should I begin then?
Yes, please.
Okay. For days together, Krishna heard from Uddhava all the details of his visit to Vrindavan, especially the condition of his father and mother, and of the gopis and the cowherd boys. Lord Krishna was fully satisfied that Uddhava was able to solace them by his instructions and by the message delivered to them. BCT's Sara, Darshini commentary, understanding in detail, Vigyai Vishesho Gyatva. What was spoken by Uddhava, Krishna had actually already reconciled everything in that regard. The word Bhagavan, Supreme Lord, indicates that Krishna, by his inconceivable powers and opulences, had already gone to Vraja in a separate manifestation, even while continuing to live in Mathura. It is implied that Krishna did this to satisfy everyone's desire, since he is the supreme soul of all, Sarvatma. To reconcile the situation for Uddhava, Krishna appeared as omniscient, Sarva Darshana, explaining to him the confidential mystery of his dual manifestations, while appearing to Uddhava in his manifestation of separation. Then, in order to keep the promise he had previously made, Krishna went with Uddhava to the house of Kubja, as stated in the words beginning with Sairandriya, serving girl.
So, Nrihari Prabhu, I have a question for you. Since Krishna reconciled everything by, although residing in Mathura, went to Vraj in a separate manifestation, then why were the gopis all broken up and so eager to get a letter from Krishna from Uddhava arriving when Krishna was actually there? Did they not realize that Krishna was always there?
As far as I remember, Sunaraya Maharaj said that, yeah, Krishna won't step out of Vrindavan, but he remains hidden. Yeah, he watches them from a distance, but he remains hidden.
Okay. Rasangi, are you ready to read? You're still walking. Well, my turn, if you're still
read. Trini can read.
Oh, good. Okay, please read, Baba Trini.
I'll sit there.
Oh, don't move. I don't know if you can sit back chair. Lord Krishna then decided to go to the house of Kupja, the hunchback woman, who had pleased him by offering him sandalwood pulp when he was entering the city of Mathura. As stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna always tries to please his devotees as much as the devotees try to please Krishna.
Excuse me for interrupting you on that point. Does anyone know what that verse is?
Do you?
I think I do, yeah, but I just want to see if anyone else knows.
You're the only one.
Krishna always tries to please his devotees as much as the devotees try to please Krishna. Well, the first verse that comes to my mind is 4:11. Ye yatamang prapadyante tangstataiva bhajamyaham. What's the rest? Is it Mama Vartmanu Vartante?
Manu Vartante.
And then? I got to brush up on my slokas.
Yeah, me too.
All of them, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly.
Yeah.
Everyone follows my path in all respects. But then another one I was thinking, Krishna always tries to please his devotees as much as the devotees try to please Krishna. What is that one? Ye yoga kshema, ye bhajanti tumang bhaktya. It ends with yoga kshemam vahamyaham. I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Those who are, no, maybe that's not appropriate. Maybe not.
So, well.
I think 4:11 is probably the most appropriate verse. So yeah. Please, I'm sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
As the devotees always think of Krishna within their hearts, Krishna also thinks of his devotees within himself. When Kubja was converted into a beautiful society girl, she wanted Krishna to come to her place so that she could try to receive and worship him in her own way. Society girls generally try to satisfy their clients by offering their bodies for the men to enjoy. But this society girl, Kubja, was actually captivated by a lust to satisfy her senses with Krishna. When Krishna desired to go to the house of Kubja, he certainly had no desire for sense gratification. By supplying the sandalwood pulp to Krishna, Kubja had already satisfied his senses. On the plea of her sense gratification, however, he decided to go to her house, not actually for sense gratification, but to turn her into a pure devotee. Krishna is always served by many thousands of goddesses of fortune. Therefore, he has no need to satisfy his senses by going to a society girl. But because he is kind to everyone, he decided to go there. It is said that the moon does not withhold its shining from the courtyard of a crooked person. Similarly, Krishna's transcendental mercy is never denied to anyone who has rendered service unto him, whether through lust, anger, fear, or pure love. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that if one wants to serve Krishna and at the same time wants to satisfy his own lusty desires, Krishna will handle the situation so that the devotee forgets his lusty desires and becomes fully purified and constantly engaged in the service of the Lord.
Does anyone know that verse?
I don't know any verses.
To those who worship me in love and devotion, I give them the understanding by which they can come to.
No, this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says.
Oh yeah. I have the audio, and unfortunately they don't
have the Bengali.
They don't have the Bengali. It's all straight,
English.
Narration, English with the verses and the purports.
They don't even tell you what's what.
What are you referring to right now? They don't. What are you referring? I'm sorry.
A devotee named Damodar does a reading of the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Prabhupada's
just English. And he doesn't say when he's saying a verse and when he's saying a purport. He just reads.
But I just read. I heard this while you were talking right now. There's few passages, but that verse is
here's the verse. I'm looking for it right now.
Okay.
I wrote to Vaisheshika Prabhu about this 4 or 5 days ago, and I asked, what verse this is, and he sent me this reference here, Madhya Lila 22, chapter 22, verses 38, verses 38 to 40. I mean, wow, what a pandit he is. And so here it is. Krishna kahe amabaje mage vishaya sukha amrita chadi vishamage e bada murka. Krishna says, if one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. Indeed, he is just like a person who gives up ambrosia to drink poison. Madhya 22:30, but he says it goes on to 40. What a thorough answer he gives. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Right. Indeed, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains, those who are interested in material enjoyment are known as bhukti kami, one who is interested in merging into the effulgence of Brahman or perfecting the mystic yoga system is not a devotee at all. Devotees do not have such desires. However, if a karmi, jnani, or yogi somehow contacts a devotee and renders devotional service, Krishna immediately awards him love of God and gives him shelter at his lotus feet, although he may have no idea how to develop love of Krishna. If a person wants material profit from devotional service, Krishna condemns such materialistic desires. To desire material opulence while engaging in devotional service is foolish. Although the person may be foolish, Krishna, being all intelligent, engages him in his devotional service in such a way that he gradually forgets material opulence. The point is that we should not try to exchange loving service for material prosperity. If we are actually surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna, our only desire should be to satisfy Krishna. That is pure Krishna consciousness. Surrender means that we demand something from the Lord, but that we completely depend on his mercy. I'll read that again. Surrender means not that we demand something from the Lord, but that we completely depend on his mercy. If Krishna likes, he may keep his devotee in a poverty-stricken condition, or if he likes, he may keep him in an opulent position. The devotee should not be concerned in either case. He should simply be very serious about trying to satisfy the Lord by rendering him service. And then here's the last of those 3 verses. Whenever Krishna is requested to fulfill one's desire, he undoubtedly does so, but he does not award anything which, after being enjoyed, will cause one to petition him again and again to fulfill further desires. When one has other desires but engages in the Lord's service, Krishna forcibly gives one shelter at his lotus feet, where one will forget all other desires. And that's taken from the Bhagavatam. So isn't that a very thorough answer given by Vaisheshika Prabhu?
Yes, I remember all these verses, but like I said, I hear him in English all the time. But yeah, that's perfect, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I'm just gonna add that to this here. Madhya 20, 22, 38 to 40.
yeah.
38 to. So if I ever show this again, I'll have the reference handy.
There you go.
Okay, great. Super. Okay, so I already read a lot. So I think Shuddha Sindhu, it's your turn, unless Rasangi is finally able to read. Rasangi, are you still walking? I guess she is. She'll let us know when she's available. So Shuddha Sindhu, would you like to read this section, please?
Okay. To fulfill his promise, Krishna, along with Uddhava, went to the house of Kubja, who was very eager to get Krishna for satisfaction of her lusty desires. When Krishna reached her house, he saw that it was completely decorated in a way to excite the lusty desires of a man. This suggests that there were many nude pictures, on top of which were canopies and flags embroidered with pearl necklaces, along with comfortable beds and cushioned chairs. The rooms were provided with flower garlands and very nicely scented with incense and sprinkled with scented water, and the rooms were illuminated by nice lamps. When Kubja saw that Lord Krishna had come to her house to fulfill his promised visit, she immediately got up from her chair to receive him cordially. Accompanied by her many girlfriends, she began to talk with him with great respect and honor. After offering him a nice place to sit, she worshipped Lord Krishna in a manner just suitable to her position. Uddhava was similarly received by Kubja and her girlfriends, but I did not want to sit on an equal level with Krishna, and thus simply sat down on the floor. As one usually does in such situation, Krishna entered the bedroom of Kubja without wasting time. In the meantime, Kubja took her bath and smeared her body with sandalwood pulp. She dressed herself with nice garments, valuable jewelry, ornaments, and flower garlands. After throwing betel nut and other intoxicating eatables and spraying herself with scents, she appeared before Krishna. Her smiling glance and moving eyebrows were full of feminine bashfulness as she stood gracefully before Lord Krishna, who is known as Madhava, the husband of the goddess of fortune. When Krishna saw Kunjab hesitating to come before him, he immediately caught hold of her hand, which was decorated with bangles. With great affection, he dragged her near him and made her sit by his side. Simply by having previously supplied part of sandalwood to the Supreme Lord Krishna, Kubja became free from all sinful reaction and eligible to enjoy with him. She then took Krishna's lotus feet and placed them on her breast, which were burning with blazing fire of lust. By smelling the fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet, she was immediately relieved of all lusty desires. She was thus allowed to embrace Krishna with her arms and mitigate her long-cherished desire to have him as a visitor in her house. I continue on.
Hari Prabhu? Or Baba
Yes.
Sri?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
But Tarini is not feeling she had to go lie down.
Okay.
It is stated in the Bhagavad-Gita that one must be freed of all material sinful reactions before one can engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Simply by supplying sandalwood pulp to Krishna, Kubja was thus rewarded. She was not trained to worship Krishna in any other way. Therefore, she wanted to satisfy him by her profession. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita that the Lord can be worshipped even by one's profession if it is sincerely offered for the pleasure of the Lord. Kubja told Krishna, "My dear friend, kindly remain with me at least for a few days and enjoy with me. My dear lotus-eyed friend, I cannot leave you immediately. Please grant my request." Shall I continue?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. Okay, as stated in the Vedic versions, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has multipotencies. According to expert opinion, Kubja represents the Bhu Shakti potency of Krishna, just as Srimati Radharani represents his Chit Shakti potency. Although Kubja requested Krishna to remain with her for some days, Krishna politely impressed upon her that it was not possible for him to stay. Krishna visits this material world occasionally, whereas his connection with the spiritual world is eternal. Krishna is always present either in the Vaikuntha planets or in the Goloka Vrindavan planet. The technical term of his presence in the spiritual world is aprakat lila. After satisfying Kubja with sweet words, Krishna returned home with Uddhava. There is a warning in Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is not very easily worshipped, for he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the chief among the Vishnu Tattvas. To worship Krishna or have association with him is not very easy. Specifically, there is a warning for devotees attracted to Krishna through conjugal love. It is not good for them to desire sense gratification by direct association with Krishna. Actually, the activities of sense gratification are material. The spiritual world, there are symptoms like kissing and embracing, but there is no sense gratificatory process as it exists in the material world. This warning is specifically for those known as sahajas, who take it for granted that Krishna is an ordinary human being. They desire to enjoy sex life with him in a perverted way. In a spiritual relationship, sense gratification is most insignificant. Anyone who desires a relationship of perverted sense gratification with Krishna must be considered less intelligent. His mentality requires to be reformed.
Okay, so I think, let's see. Right. So I love this painting. It is so beautifully done. And you see the bashfulness of Kubja there.
Yeah.
Krishna's pulling her to him.
Yeah, emotions are shown. Yeah, very, very nice. You know, in this we can see the exalted position of the manjaris, even though they're on the ras of conjugal. You may say Madhurya
The
ras.
exalted position of who? Your voice went out when you said
of the manjaris.
Oh, the Manjaris, okay.
Yeah, the manjaris don't want to enjoy separate Krishna. They don't want to associate with him. They want their Swamini. They want Radharani to be. They want to connect with Krishna, and so they do all the arrangements and like that. But as a result, they do get to enjoy the feelings that Radharani feels. She transmits. They're able to feel them.
Say that again, please, that last sentence.
So as the result of their intimate service
Yes.
to Radharani, they also get to enjoy, there's relishment, there's whatever Radharani feels, they can feel.
I see.
So
Okay.
sometimes you see there are marks that appear in the body of Rupa Manjari that they are from the exchanges between Radha and Krishna.
Is that what's called? Is that what's called enjoying vicariously? They're enjoying.
Yeah, right. You could say that. Yeah.
Okay,
but in such a perfected way, because now it's all transcendental feeling. So it's not like the sense gratificatory process here. You know, with like what it is. You know, it's just like trying to mitigate the urgencies and the pools.
So we had two references to Bhagavad-Gita just now, and I just wanted to look that up here. Vedabase.io, and I believe that one of the verses that's being referred to is the last verse of the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. You can tell me if you think I'm accurate or not. Yesham Tvanta Katam Papam. What is Jananam Punya Karmanam? Yesham Dvanta Katam Papam Jananam Punya Karmanam Te Dvandva Mohanir Mukta Vajante Mam Dridavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So I'm just wondering, how do I get back to where I just was with you?
But we can see the screen.
Okay, there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you think this is the same verse? It is stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, one must be freed from all material sinful reactions before one can engage.
It's in love and service of the Lord. Yeah.
I believe that's the verse. And then and then there's another one. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita that the Lord can be worshipped even by one's profession, if it is sincerely offered for the pleasure of the Lord. I believe that's in the 18th chapter. You know, where Krishna explains to Arjuna, regardless of what your varna or ashram is, it can be offered. I don't know the exact verse.
No, I can't remember the exact verse.
But I believe that's in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. I'll just take a quick look here.
And you see, by practical example, Arjuna engaged in his warrior qualities in the service of the Lord and attaining perfection. But it all has to be, like it says, if it is sincerely offered for the pleasure of the Lord. So the qualification there of Arjuna is love and devotion. He considers Krishna a friend, loves him. And so then, he qualifies better than, there were great sages, everybody was there. When Krishna appears, everybody appears, all the saints, all the great sages, expansions, everybody appears.
Do you see where I'm looking here? I'm looking for that verse in the 18th chapter.
No, all I see is the painting with the...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kuja.
Oh, okay, excuse me. Okay, here it is, 1846. This is what I was looking for. And I'll just paste it in here. Here it is. I believe this is it. Check it out. Tell me what you think.
By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. Yeah, I think that's...
You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That encompasses it.
Yeah. So there's Krishna standing on the feet of Kubja while he... If you remember what, years ago we used to say, we're going to have to straighten you out.
Right.
So Krishna...
This straightening out is a lot more loving. It's not chastisement, isn't it?
Right.
On the contrary. Right. But to those Sahajas, Prabhupada said they need correction. But they think the Lord is an ordinary human being.
See Lord Balaram here, he's looking on with the cowherd boys.
Yeah.
And so this is a more recent painting.
It's such an esoteric relation that is so important. Yesterday I started to read Chaitanya Bhagavad again. And it's like now right off the bat, he praises Balaram, Ananta and Nityananda Prabhu, all his incarnations, this Balaram, this mysterious figure. And that he says is certainly that Lord Balaram has the rasa dance in Vrindavan with his gopis at the same spots, and and also there's a mention of the time when Krishna Balaram and friends, Krishna and Balaram are having rasa dance together with the gopis.
Not in the same rasa dance. I heard that Balaram does not dance.
No. Listen, there is a separate occasion where they're both together. Then you referring to when Balaram goes to visit the gopis, he has two rasa dances at the same spot.
I never heard that Krishna and Balaram dance together in the same rasa dance. Is that what
we are reading? The story of Shankashuda about Trini saying what?
It says that they're rasa dancing. We just read that recently.
Yeah, we read it recently in your program.
Were rasa dancing with the gopis when that
the Krishna Balaram were dancing with the gopis when the demon Shankashuda came.
So they were actually dancing together with the gopis.
Yeah, and he says, Vrindavan Das Thakur says that the gopis sees him as one, the same Supreme Lord.
I see. Okay.
Balaram is Krishna. Krishna is Balaram. Ow.
We were just reading that Kubja represents the Bhu Shakti potency of Krishna, and I looked that up. Yeah. And it says that Sri Vishnu Priya is the internal potency known as Bhu Shakti. She appeared in Gaura Leela to assist Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his mission of spreading the holy name of Lord Krishna. So now here in this section here, it was describing the sahajas, and so that there's a warning in the Bhagavatam that Krishna is not very easily worshipped, for he is the supreme personality of God, the chief among the Vishnu Tattvas. To worship Krishna or have association with him is not easy. Okay, we read that. The mentality has to be reformed. So the comment on that is the term Prakrita Sahaja was coined by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in consonance with his penchant for exact definition, when an intellectual once commented that although the term Sahaja was well known, he had not previously heard of Prakrita Sahaja. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explained that pure devotees are genuine Sahajas, for Sahaja denotes the innate and natural, and the Prakrita Sahajas are synchronized with the instinctive nature of the soul to love Krishna. Hence, the prefix Prakrita is required to indicate those Sahajas whose uncontrolled and impure proclivities declared their lowest bestial nature. He noted two main characteristics of the Prakrita Sahajas. They presume that when Bhagavan comes to this world, he becomes a material object, and they deem themselves pure devotees equal in all respects to actual pure devotees. So there's a difference then, right, between a Sahaja or an Aprakrita Sahaja is the pure devotee, and Prakrita Sahaja
but it could be material, it could be nature too, Prakriti.
Such a Vishnu is an extension of such a Bhagavad extension of water.
But Rain says that Vishnu Priya is an expansion of Satyabhama.
Okay.
Who's actually a direct expansion. Satyabhama is a direct expansion of Radharani.
Cool.
And that's the
Das Boo.
Do we have anybody else here, or I don't know if Rasangi's free? And we have someone named Anne here. I don't know. Anne, would you like to take a turn reading? I'm not I just see a black box.
There's 5 participants.
Maybe she just wants to listen and not read. I don't know, but you're welcome to read, Anne, if you want to. Otherwise, you can just listen in. Okay, so after Krishna finished visiting Kubja, now we're Krishna's going to visit Akrura at his house. So I guess I can. Shuddha Sindhu, would you like to read now? After a while, Krishna fulfilled his promise.
Okay. After a while, Krishna fulfilled his promise to visit Akrura at his house. Akrura was in relationship with Krishna as his servitor, and Krishna wanted to get some service from him. He went there accompanied by Lord Balaram and Uddhava. When Krishna, Balaram, and Uddhava approached the house of Akrura, Akrura came forward, embraced Uddhava, and offered respectful obeisances, bowing down before Lord Krishna and Balaram. Krishna, Balaram, and Uddhava offered him obeisances in turn and were offered appropriate sitting places. When all were comfortably seated, Akrura washed their feet and sprinkled the water on his head. Then he offered nice clothing, flowers, and sandalwood pulp in regular worship. All three of them were very satisfied by Akrura's behavior. Akrura then bowed down before Krishna, putting his head on the ground. Then placing Krishna's lotus feet on his lap, Akrura gently began to massage them. When Akrura was fully satisfied in the presence of Krishna and Balaram, his eyes filled with tears of love for Krishna, and he began to offer his prayers as follows. My dear Lord Krishna and Balaram, it is very kind of you to have killed Kamsa and his associates. You have delivered the whole family of the Yadu dynasty from the greatest calamity. The Yadus will always remember your saving of their great dynasty. My dear Lord Krishna and Balaram, both of you are the original personality from whom everything has emanated, the original cause of all causes. You have inconceivable energy, and you are all pervasive. There's no cause and effect, gross or subtle, but you. You are the Supreme Brahman, realized through the study of the Vedas. By your inconceivable energy, you are actually visible before us. You create this cosmic manifestation by your own potencies, and you enter into it yourself. As the five material elements, the earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are distributed in everything, manifested by different kinds of bodies. You alone enter the various bodies created by your own energy. You enter the body as the individual soul and independently as a super soul. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita that the material body is created by Krishna's inferior energy, that the living entities, the individual souls, are his parts and parcels, and the super soul is his localized representation. Thus, while the material body, the living entity, and the super soul constitute an individual living being, originally they are different energies of the one Supreme Lord.
Sangi, are you able to read? Or are you still walking? Okay, I'll continue. Akrura continued, in the material world, you create, maintain, and dissolve the whole manifestation by the interactions of the three material qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. But you are not implicated in the activities of those material qualities, for your supreme knowledge is never overcome like the knowledge of the individual living entity. The Supreme Lord enters the material cosmos and causes creation, maintenance, and destruction in their due course, whereas the part and parcel living entity enters the material elements and has his material body created for him. The difference between the living entity and the Lord is that the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and has the tendency to be overcome by the interactions of the material qualities. Krishna, the Para Brahman, or the Supreme Brahman, being always situated in full knowledge, is never overcome by such activities. Therefore, Krishna is called Achyuta, meaning he who never falls down. Krishna's knowledge of his spiritual identity is never overcome by material action, whereas the minute part and parcel living entities are prone to forget their spiritual identity due to material action. The material living entities are eternally part and parcel of God, minute parts of the original fire, Krishna. As sparks are prone to be extinguished, but not the blazing fire, so the living entities can be overcome by material activities, whereas Krishna never can. You want to continue, Hari?
Okay. Akrura continue. Less intelligent men misunderstand your transcendental form to be made of material energy. But that concept is not at all applicable to you. Actually, you are all spiritual, and there is no difference between you excuse me, and your body. Therefore, there is no question of your being conditioned or liberated. You are ever liberated in any condition of life. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita, only fools and rascals consider you an ordinary man. Mudhas. To consider your lordship one of us, conditioned by the material nature, is a mistake due to our imperfect knowledge. When people deviate from the original knowledge of the Vedas, they try to identify the ordinary living entities with your lordship, who have appeared in this earth in your original form, to reestablish the real knowledge that the living entities are neither one with or equal to the Supreme God. My dear Lord, you are always situated in uncontaminated goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Your appearance is necessary to establish actual Vedic knowledge, as opposed to the atheistic philosophy, which tries to establish that God and the living entities are one and the same. My dear Lord Krishna, this time you have appeared in the home of Vasudeva as his son, with your plenary expansion, Sri Balaram. Your mission is to kill all the atheistic royal families and destroy their huge military strength. You have advented yourself to minimize the burden of the world, and to fulfill this mission, you have glorified the dynasty of Yadu by appearing as one of its members.
So, this is the verse that's being quoted here from Bhagavad-Gita, right? Fools deride me when I descend in human form.
Yes.
They do not know my true nature as Supreme Lord of all that be. Avajananti mang mudha. What is it? Manusham tanam ashrita, I think. Param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. I think that's the verse. So, Akrura continued, less intelligent men misunderstand your transcendental form to be made of material energy. Did we read this yet? Because sometimes I might duplicate what I'm.
Yeah, well, I just read that. Okay, let's see.
Is this? Did you read this as well? I may have double copied and pasted sections. You remember reading this?
Not this part.
No? Okay. Akrura continued. So Akrura is continuing to glorify Krishna so beautifully. In the material world, you create, maintain, and dissolve the whole manifestation by the interactions of the three material qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. But you are not implicated in the activities of those material qualities, for your supreme knowledge is never overcome like the knowledge of the individual living entity. The Supreme Lord enters the material cosmos and causes creation, maintenance, and destruction in their due course, whereas the part and parcel living entity enters the material elements and has his material body created for him. Shuddha Sindhu, do you remember reading any of this? Does it sound familiar?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, we read this before. Krishna is called a Chuta, one who never falls down.
Yeah, that part, yes. You read that before I read last.
Okay. This is the original painting. Sorry?
I have to leave now.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Because I'm working at 10 a.m. now. It's 10 a.m. here. I got one extra class with students.
10 a.m. in Malaysia. 10 a.m. in Malaysia. So
yeah,
are you able to come back Friday, or are you busy? Are you busy on Friday?
Because Saturday now school is going to open, so Saturday I'm working in the morning and Tuesday morning. I'll try to Thursday should be okay for me. Only
Okay.
today I have a special class at 10 a.m. with students,
Okay.
the exam students.
Okay, we'll see you in 2 days then. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
Hi,
Okay.
Haribol, Didi.
Yeah, Haribol.
Talk-
But actually, I don't understand much just now that we read something like conjugal love with Krishna and what is that? Conjugal love with Krishna and what the mind has to be reformed. Conjugal love with Krishna and to enjoy sex with Krishna, and the mind has to be reformed because something is wrong, is it? This part I don't understand much. Maybe next time I will ask you.
Okay, because you got to go now, so maybe next time. That was the end of the section about Sahajaism. Did you want to make a sentence, give a sentence, Nirari? To answer?
Well, basically is that the pure devotees want to give pleasure to Krishna's senses, not to their own. The Sahajas, they take Krishna as an ordinary living being so that they can enjoy him. And so that was the initial intention of Kubja. She was so he's all attracted, but he went to visit her, as explained, to turn it into a pure devotee. And then
just by putting the lotus feet of Krishna onto the breast, and then she turned into a pure devotee. Is it something like
all
that?
her desires or lusty desires were gone, and she got to embrace Krishna.
It said by smelling
embracing is there, but it's not done for our pleasure or for the living entity's pleasure. But as a result of being with Krishna, of course there'll be an enjoyment, but it's not the sense gratification
You mean
here.
You mean by just putting the lotus feet on the breast? So Kubja was turned into a pure devotee, and after she was turned into a pure devotee, and then only Krishna embraced her. Before that, Krishna will not embrace her.
She got to fulfill her desire of embracing Krishna, but now that is purified.
Because Krishna is the supreme pure, so by embracing him, Go ahead, Nirhari. Sorry.
But by her touching his feet and to her body, she immediately got purified. All the lust, it says, was gone. Burning lust was gone. And lust, the difference between lust and kam is when we do everything to give pleasure to the senses of Krishna, and lust is we do something to enjoy our own senses. And we think, they think, oh, well, he's so great that we'll enjoy supremely. But that's selfish. Okay. So that's lust.
But that is only at that time. But like me, how we cannot apply those situations in normal human like
no,
us,
we have, but what it says, we can offer our profession, even might be looking like, in the material world, even Bhagavad-Gita, probably might remember the verse that each profession has a drawback. Whether it's a king, kshatriya, diplomacy is another way of, lying in a way, disguising the truth. And then the kshatriya savage are coming. All the varnas have a drawback. But they can be, the point is that there has to be a sincerity of wanting to serve Krishna rather than our senses. Mm-hmm. Then whatever we have is that professional like Kubja, the society girl. She was able to offer it. And he finished her purification by allowing her to touch his feet with her body. At that time, then all her lust is gone. But she gets the desire of embracing him. And it gives him pleasure because it's out of love, it's not out of lust. In love, we do whatever is necessary to please our lover, isn't it? And we chant that in Shikshastakam. It's actually the 4 last verses of Shikshastakam is actually Radharani speaking to Lord Krishna. So you can make me brokenhearted by not being present before me.
I read this verse before.
Whereas in material lust, we're always calculating, how am I going to be able to gratify my senses?
Yeah.
And that's the opposite of love for Krishna. Love for Krishna, we want to use our senses in pleasing his senses. That's yoga. Mind, body, and word.
Yeah, yoga means union too, but it's a purified union. It's the connection. There's no inebrities, Prabhupada calls it. Whereas when we try in these elements, in this atmosphere, try to enjoy them, we enjoy separate. Even if God is present and we try to do that, he'll judge the sincerity of it, but he'll take away those contaminated desires and leave the pure one.
Okay, right.
Does that help, Shri Sindhu?
Yeah, I'll try to understand it again. Okay.
It's,
see you again.
Yeah, it's a matter of, but the best way to understand is to think of this chant and render service by devotional service and chanting the holy name, doing our devotional service. That's how we really grasp the meaning of all of this.
Okay.
So we'll continue on this pastime where Krishna and Balaram ask Akrura to go to Hastinapur on Monday. Tuesday for you in Malaysia, Monday for us here in Canada and in Hawaii.
Okay. I'll try to attend.
Yeah.
Only Saturday I can't because Saturday I work very early.
That's okay.
Tuesday I'll try. On Tuesday I'll try to arrange. Yeah.
The rest of us will come back for the Nectar of Instruction 2 days from now, which is Friday here in Canada.
Yeah, I've just started reading Adi Lila. I just got my Chaitanya Charitamrita set.
Very nice.
Yeah, I just started reading Adi Lila.
That's the crest jewel. So thank you, Rasangi, for coming. Thank you, Anne, for coming. Thank you, Bhavatrini and Rahari. I hope you're feeling better soon.
Thanks. Stay well.
Yeah.
And thank you again for
Jivan Mukta's in the hospital. Or he was. He called me from the emergency. He said he's has not eaten in 1 week. So we hope that he'll recover. Nanda Patni's still recovering from her surgery.
What happened to Jivan Mukta? Did you know? Or
he has not said. He said, I'll tell you when I'm out of the emergency.
What about who? Oh, Krishna Chandra. We haven't seen him.
Oh, yes. He's been with his mother because of infections she had in the hospital.
Yeah. Well, wish him all well. And
yeah. They heard every step in this material world.
Hare Krishna, Rashangi.
That was nice. Sorry, I couldn't read.
That's okay. I've been encouraging your husband to also join in as an independent reader.
He was there, but he wasn't reading. He listened, though.
Oh, that's nice. That maybe one of these days. I conducted 2 interviews today. I did one with Nyasi Maharaj, part 2, where I go through all the names of all the devotees during the 70s in Chicago Temple. And he's remembering many things about them. Next section I hope to get when he takes sannyas monk's order from Govinda Maharaj. And I also did a long interview with Avadut Maharaj.
Oh, nice.
That was at least 2 hours long.
You have it on YouTube like the other one? Or
it's up. It's up.
Okay, great. Yeah. I followed the first one. I'm looking for.
Oh, nice.
I met Sri Govinda a long time ago in Los Angeles when he left Chicago, I think.
Right.
And they changed, he mentioned. And Bhatrini was his secretary in Dallas.
Oh, nice. Okay, we'll hear more about that.
He had 2 wives.
He did have 2 wives at that time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a challenge. My obeisances to everyone. Vaishnavibhyo namo namah.
Like your background so much.
That's just
Lady
the cover up.
choice. It's so sweet, so sweet.
It's
That's
where I
so-
like where I'd like to be in Vrindavan
I
Dham.
know it's so warm looking when it's so cold there, right?
Yes, it's snowing outside. Snowstorm outside my window. I can dream anyway.
Yeah.
Hari-
Good
Okay,
night good night from snowy Canada. See you next week, I hope.
Haribol.
Haribo.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anne, are you able to come on camera? I guess not.